You've started watercolour, but you're not sure on how to get the most from your paintings. Maybe you struggle with water control. Maybe it's an issue with making colours. Have the confidence, just paint without any pressure. Just go ahead, enjoy the process. And I'll show you a few techniques, a few things that I do that can help you to have more success with your painting. Now, despite what people say, you can use white in your painting, white watercolour. So I'm going to use that in the sky area, and I'll just show you how interesting it can make your painting. I'm still learning, even after a long time painting. If you watch the video to the end, you will find many tips and tricks and different techniques to take you through and help you in your watercolour journey. One of the things that I'm going to show you in particular is using Chinese white watercolour paint just to get an interesting effect in the sky. But you can also use, if you do have some gouache, you can use white gouache to get the same effect. And this is something that I've just tried once and I didn't get enough paint, so hopefully this time I get it right. Watercolour's all about experimenting. Sometimes things do work, sometimes things don't work out. But like I said before, you just got to be kind to yourself. Don't put pressure on yourself. You got to enjoy the journey as well as the end result. So whether you're new to watercolour, whether you're more advanced, I'm still learning. I've been painting for quite some time. I'm still developing my skill. So you got to be kind to yourself. Don't put any pressure on yourself. You don't have to share your paintings with anyone. But you must practice as much as you can to master some of these techniques. You will get there. There's a lot of things to think about. There's water control, how to mix certain colours. And each week I do videos with this in mind to help get into the mindset of watercolour. But the most important thing that I would say is you just gotta have confidence. You gotta just enjoy the process. Don't think too much. Don't overthink your watercolour painting. Just go in, enjoy yourself and enjoy the results, and they'll come. They'll come in time as you practice more and more. In my channel, I'm there to help. So if you do have any questions, if you do have any, if you're struggling with anything, do drop me a comment, let me know, and I'll do my best to, maybe if I don't talk about it, I can make a video with that in mind, with your questions in mind. I really would love to help. So I hope you like this one. I hope you do find it useful. Grab your favourite drink and enjoy this painting. Now, like I said before, sometimes things go wrong and sometimes things can go right in watercolour. It is quite unpredictable at times. So I do make a few mistakes during this process, so I want you to see that as well. Not so much mistakes, but things that didn't really work as I tried them. Like I said, it is all about experiment and just trying different things, like this white paint in the sky area. I have done it once before and I used just a little tiny brush, just dipping that into the end of the tube of paint. But this time you can see I'm using the Hake brush, or Hake brush as it's known, and I'm just dipping that into the tube, and then I'm just adding some cerulean blue as well to the already wet paint, wet paper, sorry. You can see that I already pre-wet the paper where I'm going to have the sky. And this is actually something a friend of mine on here on YouTube by the name of Joe Menza. It was the first time I ever saw anyone paint using white gouache. with the watercolour. So I just wanted to try that. One of the very first things that I did learn in watercolour, I did my very first painting. I was at college at the time, and my art tutor did say that, you know, for whites usually you don't use paint. Normally it's best to leave the white of the paper. So I do agree with that. That is normally the way, but I think sometimes it's about thinking outside the box, breaking tradition, trying things a little bit different, because that's how we learn, that's how we progress, and that's how we discover new things and new techniques. You know, I'm sure a long time ago when watercolour first came about, there was a lot of things that was said that you should do, that you shouldn't do, but over the course of time, obviously there's different even mediums that you can use in watercolour. I don't know whether you knew that. There are things like a granulating medium that you use with your brushes, with the water. There's luminosity medium, and I think there's even like a drying medium to retard the drying. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, but something like that. So there are different mediums that you can use, not just for oils but for watercolour as well. So it is quite fascinating. It is quite interesting when you look into these things. And then there's obviously things that have happened in watercolour as well, like the super granulating paints. I do have some of those Schmincke super granulating paints. I really do love the way they behave. They've got a different character, a different personality when you paint. So, you know, there is the rules. There's the conventional way, the traditional way, and then there's just different things. And my friend Joe, he's always playing around with different ideas and trying different things, and it's really good to learn from. So if you want to check out his channel, Joe Menza Art, you can find him, and he likes to paint with the Hake brushes and do all these sort of landscape, loose and free style. He also does have a Facebook group called Ron Ranson Disciples. If you want to check that out, if you would like to join the group, then just submit your application, and you can become a member of that community. So it's really a really good thing to do. I know I'm not very good with social media. I'm just trying to force myself a bit more. I do spend most of my time here on YouTube, so this is the best place to catch me. I'm just not very good with other social media platforms. So anyway, back to the painting. I was adding different colours to the white, and it gives this nice little chalky pastel sort of look, quality about the paint. You can see the nice soft blended clouds that I've got there, and that was just squeezing a brush out, a large mop brush, squeezing that out, getting all the excess water. Not really large brush, but you can see the one that I'm using now. So it's got a nice tip on it, and it does hold plenty of water. So I just rinsed that out, squoze it out, and then took out some clouds, and then just blended it with that brush, and you get these really, really nice, soft, wispy sort of clouds. And I think maybe that's to do with the gouache, the white, Chinese white Cotman watercolour. I'm not sure, maybe Joe can answer that. Much more experienced in that than I am, but I do like the way the skies turned out. It does look quite different. It's got that softer sort of appearance. Obviously with darker colours you can't get them too dark. The white does dilute the sort of tone, but it does give it a nice pastel sort of look. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is that something you've done, you've used your white watercolour in your paintings? Just drop me a comment. I'd love to know your thoughts. And also, like I said in the beginning, if you do have any questions, any Anything that you struggle with, please do let me know. I'll try my best to answer any questions. Well, I will answer the questions, whether it be in video form or I could talk you through some of my ideas and things like that. We're all learning. I'm still learning. It's been over 20 years since I've started painting. More than that, probably well over that. So yeah, you know, you can sort of do. There's no rules in watercolor. There's recommended things to do, and I know a lot of people here on YouTube say you must do this, you can't do that, and whatever. You know, that sort of goes out the window when you're learning to paint. So just try what you feel, and if you get a result, then that's a result, isn't it? So I'm now using the rigger brush or liner brush. It's a number 2 Maestro. Quite a nice brush for trees and all sorts of things like that. I did use the card for scraping out, and that's one of the things, first of all, that didn't work out right for me. I don't know, when I started this painting, I really wasn't sure where I was going to go, how I was going to, what I was going to include. It's one of those paintings that I did off the cuff, so there wasn't really much planning. I guess that comes to experience. You know, I'm experienced enough to know that I can add this, or this might work. One of the things that I do, and I encourage, if you've not heard me say it before, I've said it many times on my channel, take plenty of breaks, and then when you come back to the painting after even if it's an hour or a day or whatever it may be, after a little break, you can come back to the painting and see where the painting is going and see shapes, and you can just add to that and enhance certain parts. So that's all I do, and that's all I'm doing in this. So I really didn't have much idea of what I wanted to add at this point, and so just wanted to cover the majority of the paper. I knew I wanted maybe some trees in there, but I did scrape out in the middle maybe some mountain areas, I'm not sure, but it didn't quite work out for me. I think the paint was too light, or maybe it's too much in the drying stage. I'm not sure, but that didn't work. But I just carry on. I don't let it stop me. I'm just adding a bit more with the card, just scraping a few little areas. So when I had a little break from this painting, and do excuse my arm, you can't see what I'm doing, but when I did have a little break from this painting, I did see things in the painting that I thought that will fit the shape and the colour, the way it's spread. I did also add some salt in the bottom left hand side all the way to the middle bottom. You may be able to see some of that texture, and that's what I was doing then, just sprinkling some it's fine sea salt, just normal cooking salt. So that gave me a little bit of texture, and again, I don't think that went too well. I think maybe with a darker colour that would really give you a really obvious texture, but it has worked. It's given me some little bit of texture, and it will be noticeable in the end result. So I'm happy with that. I'm just going to leave that as it is. But on the right hand side, I can see the shape of maybe some trees, something like that. So I'm going to take advantage of these shapes. I'm just going to leave the middle where I scraped, where I was scraping. I'm just going to leave that, maybe throw in a few trees, that sort of thing. But you can really see now the sky, the soft cloud. I just love that look. It really looks just maybe something you couldn't get without the white watercolour. So now I'm just adding some trees on this shape here on the side of, I think it's going to be a hill or a mountain. So just adding some lighter tones. This is going to be the highlighted area. So I am having some different contrasts in this scene. I think that will work quite nice. So I'm just adding the first layer, or well, it's not the first layer because I've already gone in, but the first sort of highlighted colour is just going in, and that's a bit of the yellow that I've got in my palette. I'm not sure which yellow it is, but any yellow will do. And then a little bit of sap green. And then as I come down the tree foliage, I will increase in some tones. So dab into some Payne's Grey, some Van Dyke Brown, that sort of thing. And we're just going to see how it goes. And yeah, just keep going. And sometimes, you know, you do get these ugly stages. But if you persevere and just keep going, you can find little areas that you think is going to work. Maybe not all the areas, but you can pull the painting back by adding something that works. I've decided to add these trees in the middle, sort of bit of a distance. So for this I'm using a lot of yellow ochre, sap green, just a touch of Van Dyke Brown. You may be able to see that in the mix as well. And that's one thing I'm going to be doing while I add the colour. I'm going to be adding colour within that colour and let it mix on the paper. It's much more interesting. Sorry, I did have a phone call then, so it just broke my audio. So yeah, it just creates a lot more interest if you let the paint mix on the paper. So a takeaway from this video I really want to sort of hit home is just practice. Practice and practice however many times you can. Could you imagine for a minute if you painted every single week, maybe once a week, every single week for the next 4 or 5 years? Can you imagine to yourself the things that you're going to learn along the way and the improvement that you'll see? Just hold that thought, because that's what I've been doing for about 6 years now, something like that. I've been painting every single week, sometimes more than once. Obviously family commitments, jobs, things like that, you can't do as much as you want, not like a full-time artist, but every single week I've been consistent, and so I have learned quite a lot, and my paintings have come along. It's just immense, some of the things I've learned and the improvement in my paintings and just in confidence. And I think that's one of the key things is confidence, just going in and not being scared to paint, and not, you know, just I almost changed my mindset to being too careful, too cautious, having things too precise and exact to paint, like I don't care about the end result. I know that may sound a bit strange, it may sound a bit funny, but when I say paint without caring, I just not bothered about the result. And it comes out in the brush strokes, it comes out the way you paint, it really does. So if for years and years it took me to get to that stage. I'm speaking, probably most of you are like that. When you start painting, you see things and you're trying to copy things exactly, whether it's a reference. But when you learn to loosen up, it really frees up the paintings and you just get this better result. I don't know, that's my thought, that's my take on it. Again, leave a comment if you have any thoughts on this. I did used to paint really tight, really stiff, really tight, and just not a nice way to paint. But when I learned to relax and not bother about the result, and one of the things that you can do to help you get to this stage is maybe set yourself a time limit for your painting. You know, it could be 20 minutes, could be half an hour. If a painting normally takes you 3-4 hours, then just cut that right down, and so it gives you less time, so you can't go in messing with details. Get yourself some bigger brushes and use as big a brush as you can, and that'll free up, you know, any tight painting and just give you that looseness. And a Hake brush is perfect. It's perfect for that. So there is different sizes of Hake brushes, different brands. Mine are just the cheap brand. I think the Jackson's Art Supply brushes. So I'm happy using those. They give me the result that I want, and they hold plenty of water. So that's just what I need in a Hake brush. So that's what I recommend. If you just get bigger brushes, if you limit your time, just don't worry about the end result. Just try and improve each time you paint. Practice, and you will definitely get there. It's quite quick how you see the results. Things will improve dramatically within a short period of time, and it's about enjoying that journey as well. You know, you don't want to try and rush that end result. You don't want to try and get to that point where you can paint loose. Some people, you know, may get there a lot quicker than I did, but once I learned that and changed the mindset of painting, things became a lot more easier to do, and I was a bit kinder to myself, maybe less. It didn't matter as much. I was just whatever, you know. And when you become that indifferent sort of attitude to painting, it really does start to work. I wanted to scrape a few more rocks as well in this scene. I think that would be perfect for the foreground, the middle of the painting, and so on. So just took a little credit card again and scraped out, and then the next thing I like to do is just add a little bit of tone underneath the rocks.
So then you get a really nice highlight, and you can see it just begins to pop as well. Now in the middle of the scene, that is intended as a river, some little stream or something like that. And you can see underneath that the way the salt has given a texture. Not as well as I wanted to, but nevertheless it is quite an interesting feature. It could be whatever you want. It could be flowers, anything like that in this sort of scene. And I'm going to leave the middle, like where the mountains come down on the left hand side. I'm just going to leave it like that. It's a bit of breathing space. I find it's a little busy, this scene, so I do want a little bit of breathing space, and I'm just happy to leave that. I'm fine with that. You know, like I said, this is quite loose, not too fussed about detail or anything perfect. I want something a little bit different, and that's definitely what I'm getting here. It's a different painting than I've done before, but I do like the sky in particular, and the way that Chinese white has had an effect. But yeah, just a few rocks in the foreground. Maybe another tree sort of towards the middle of the scene, beginning of the slope of the left-hand mountain. But that's pretty much all I want to do, really. You can see some of the textures now popping, and I do apologise, I've panned a little bit too close in. You can't see what I'm doing, but just adding things to those rocks. Yeah, I'm quite happy with this one. Leave a little bit of mystery there as well, so things aren't too obvious what this is, what that is, but I'm just going to leave that. It's absolutely fine. It just gives more interest, more mystery to the scene, so that when you see this, you may, oh, what's that, and you can interpret things. It gives that little bit of freedom for the viewer, so hopefully you can see that. The brown at the bottom, it does look a bit like water, and I could have made that into water, but I'm just leaving it. It is just a bit of land. The river is above that, so that highlight, that sort of unpainted paper, that's what I wanted to achieve. And then just adding some dark tones underneath the rocks on this side of the mountain. So yeah, it's quite a rugged landscape. I do like doing these. It is from imagination, so a lot of freedom, a lot of artistic license, and I like to use the colours mix on the paper, let them do the thing on the paper. It's much better than mixing them in the palette. Let me know what you think. If you've not tried doing it this way, then I recommend try it. It just gives a nice, the way the colour shifts and the colour mixes together, it's just a really nice, it just gives a really nice look to it. So maybe that's something you can try. And I don't know what's going on with this. I've panned in again, but I seem to be having a few difficulties, but never mind, I think I've rectified it now. So with a liner brush now, just adding some grasses, just flicking up, easy as that. And you can see I'm using the tape to start and just going up from the tape, so it doesn't look like it started from where the border is going to be. And like I said, in the middle here, using those scratch marks from the card that didn't work, I just wanted to pop some trees there as well. So it is quite an interesting scene. It's not, I wouldn't say it's my normal sort of painting, but just trying something new and doing something different. I've had a few days where I haven't painted, so I don't know, I didn't have anything in my head when I first started. I just knew I wanted white in the sky, and that's where I started, and it just sort of evolved from there. Maybe you can try this sort of approach as well. Don't pressure yourself into anything exact. Just be free on the paper, just let things happen, and that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna remove the tape now carefully, and then you can see the finished painting more just looks a lot better with that clean border. It looks a lot nicer than what it is. But I hope you like this one. I hope you do. Just be kind to yourself. Don't put pressure on. Practice and enjoy the process. And that's all I want you to take away from this one. If you do like it, then please do give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to my video, please do consider subscribing for weekly content. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.